So for us, the idea is that all types should be abandoned.
I relied most on observations, and I got permission to watch births in the hospitals. And of course, in watching a birth, you could see not only what really, in fact, had been done to the woman, the extent of it, and also how it caused difficulties in giving birth, because the scar tissue was quite massive and often very hardened, and keloid formations were like, I was told by doctors that when they tried to cut this mass, they broke scalpels. And I didn't just hear this once from one doctor, I heard this from many of the doctors that I questioned. And because of this, the woman could dilate only 4 centimeters of the 10 centimeters that are necessary to pass a fetal head. And so they had to be cut laterally on both sides of the scar in order to be able to expel the fetus. And of course, there was great blood loss always. In pregnancies, there's a great growth of blood vessels in that area specific to pregnancy. And I watched more than one woman bleed to death, where there was, what was left of the tissue it just exploded. It exploded all over the ceiling, blood everywhere. All I could see was red when I was allowed into this operating room, and it was, it can be pretty terrible.
There are hundreds of studies that have been done on FGC. People go out and they say, why? Why? Why do you practice this? A social convention, they'll say tradition, that's true. Or they'll say religious. Well, that's sort of a second. Religion comes and reinforces it. But the key is, across the ages, it has become linked to marriageability, and therefore no one wants to destroy their daughter's marriage chances. And it explains why also, for example, my daughter came to me, all of her friends in the neighborhood in Chess. When she was 9 years old, she came to me and said, Mom, Maimuna Bari is circumcised. And she said she's a real woman now. And she didn't cry. And she was very brave. And I wouldn't cry either if you let me do it. Oh yeah, because it's contagious, it's a convention. It means you're a real woman.
Often they look forward to being circumcised because they've been told all these wonderful things like, oh, you're going to be a woman, you will be clean and sweet smelling, and you'll be ready for marriage, and your husband will love you, and if you don't have it done, then he'll go to prostitutes, and you'll be so ugly and disgusting and stinky that he doesn't want to come near you. And if it's not cut, then it hangs between your legs like a goose's neck.
Man sama doom xale yu góor yi daan nañ ko ñaawale kiñ ma may ma yar ko xale yi di ko def moom defaluma ko ndax ma ne du aada waaye su génnee ci dëkk bi ñu di ko ñaawal muy jooy di ñëw ci man ba moroomam ñu di ko def mu daw dem defi ji ko.
You know that some of the girls say, no, we want to have this. Our sisters got gifts and they were sung to and they were, valued, and they got, they were seen as very wonderful women, and we want to be the same. And I know how that is because my own daughter said it to me. And when she did it, then I really understood that this is something that's really powerful.
There have been attempts at abolishing it, and they've usually backfired. When you try to force people to not do something that they find totally necessary for the good of their child, they're going to do it. They're going to do it anyway. And they actually, when the British tried to enforce that in Sudan, there was a backlash. And all the people circumcised their kids, even the little babies. A lot of them died as a consequence. So I mean, it just had all of the wrong effect. The only way really that you can get people to stop doing it is not to abolish it, but giving them the information and the know-how about health and what the world is really like outside of this village. That not the whole world is doing this. And then letting them decide as a unit, the whole village together, that they're not going to do it anymore.
So we chose not to use the word mutilation because it's judgmental. It's a saying you're doing this intentionally to be cruel to your daughter, and it's not true. And once you understand that, and once you talk to women in that paradigm, that you are not doing something that is worthy of blame. It is a mistaken practice, not a blameworthy one. And therefore, people are more open to listening to the message and discussing openly. And we all know that anyone who comes up to you and says, you need to stop this, this is bad, this is not good, you are doing this intentionally to harm, your first reaction is to be very defensive and react very strongly and say, hey, who is this person coming, talking to me about this? This is none of their business. But whereas if you just open up a dialogue without being judgmental, then you can really get in a discussion, a dialogue, and people can listen to what the health dangers are. Suddenly when you get into a group of other women who have similar problems and you start discussing it in a very safe space, and you learn you have rights, but that you also have responsibilities to your girl, your daughter, that this is not just about you, but about the future of the future generations and your daughters, and that you have a responsibility if your daughter dies. There is a responsibility involved in that, and suddenly the women said, wait a minute, we have to look at this very carefully. And I quite frankly believe that this was the turning point in this whole movement, and this is what has led to such spectacular results of people deciding to abandon with such great confidence. This year we have, we're working in at least 400 communities in Senegal and 120 in Guinea. So we have over 500 communities where there are 2 classes. So there are about 1,000 classes going on right now as we speak. These are villagers that are chosen. They might be within a zone where there are 50 villages, and there might be 10 villages that are doing the Tostan program. And those 10 villages reach out to all 50 villages. Each one will adopt other villages to go and discuss the issues that are brought up in the class.